Hello everyone, and welcome back to another devlog for my new game Arcade Wizard 2. Today I've got some really cool stuff to show you, so let's just get into it. The first thing I want to show you is the addition I made to the level generation, because I have to make quite a bit of different level layouts for this game. Some of you might recall that this is a roguelike game, and between each level you can pick an upgrade, but then each level also has a different layout. So the further you get into the dungeon run, the more different layouts you will have encountered. Now there are a couple of things in these layouts. First of all you have the walls, and second of all you have the hazards. So let me quickly show you what it looks like. So right here you can see this is a layout, and there are some hazards in it, and enemies will spawn in it. Now this isn't randomly generated, this is a predefined layout, with an exception to where the hazards are placed, and also there's an exception to where the mob portals spawn. Now I added something I am really excited about, and that's this thing over here. Here you can see the generate map function, and in this thing I just basically clear the entire map with exception to the walls that are around the map, and then I clear the hazards, so any hazards that were spawned are deleted, and then I have the generator generate a map. So real quick, in this code I have a possibility to just define with spaces where the blank walkable spaces are. So these are just tiles. And then I also have these W's, and those are the walls. So real quick, if I just add, like, maybe I want to have this wall be closed. If I just do this and save this and just rerun the level generation, you can see that all of a sudden there are walls here. Now I haven't made every possible tile in the game yet, so you can see that if I have like these single walls, then all of a sudden the tiles will look a little bit glitchy. So for now I will have to keep that in mind when I'm designing these layouts, but I will eventually fix these tiles, so every configuration will work. Now the thing that really excites me about this is that since this is just a plain old text format, I can simply load this in from anywhere. So in this case I will probably add a predefined set of layouts, but players will be able to add their own layouts eventually if I just have this thing load from like an API that I set up. Or maybe I just have a form somewhere where players can submit layouts and I can just add them into the game. So yeah, if you're interested in designing layouts, please let me know in the comments if I should make this possible or not, because if a lot of people want this, then I can prioritize it a little bit higher on the list of things that I'm going to do. Now, if we look at this code, we can see that the map generator is a plain old C# object. The reason I did this is because I just want to test this class. So right here we can see that the load map is fairly simple. It just loops through the X and Y positions and places a wall or doesn't. And that brings me to the next thing that I can do, because right here you can see that we have this place hazard, which right now just places the first prefab that is passed to it. To explain this a little bit further, what I can do is I can, for instance, fill this with zeros. I will explain in a minute why I use zeros here. I can fill this with zeros, and then if I load the map, you can see all of a sudden, besides the randomly placed hazards, there's also this predefined position where the hazards are loaded. And this is the spots, these are the spots where the zeros are on the layout. At the moment there's only one possible hazard, and that's the pit with fire. But later on I will probably have different hazard types. And what I plan to do is use these numbers as groups. So for instance, if I do like zeros here, but add like ones here, then zeros get assigned a random hazard and ones get assigned a random hazard. So for instance, fire pits might be on the ones, and like speed reducers or something like sticky floor tiles will be placed on all the zeros. This way the level layouts are predefined, but they will be a little bit different each time. I'm also thinking about making optional walls. So for instance, if I do like dots, then a wall might be there or might not be there. So the dot is a group of walls that will be active or not. So yeah, I'm really excited about the possibilities. I will probably go into this a little bit more next week. And I will also improve the mob spawning, which brings me to the next point. I introduced a new mob to the game. Now in the first game, it was quite similar to what you are going to see right now. And that is that if a lot of mobs spawn, the mobs will probably chase you around and you can just run away and kite them. Or you can stand around the corner and wait for them to walk wherever they go. If you can find a better engagement, just re-engage. So what I want to do is fairly early on in the game introduce mobs that do stuff like shoot projectiles. And that's exactly what I made this week. So if I turn this thing on right now. So right here we have a new mob, the spiked mushroom. So this mob is a little bit different in its behavior in regards to the normal mushroom, because right here you can see it shoots out these spikes. These spikes just bounce around the map and you have to avoid them, because if they hit you, you take a bit of damage. Now what I probably will do is have a bunch of different mobs. You can see that this mob shoots the spikes in a diagonal direction, and I can add more, like mobs that will shoot them in horizontal and vertical directions, and maybe some mobs that will shoot them in random directions, or like all the 8 directions. I can also make some mobs that will teleport around and shoot, some mobs that will shoot towards the player if it can see it. So yeah, I think this can add a lot of depth to the game. And I also think that this reduces the need for big waves. So I can make the waves a little bit smaller, but a little bit more challenging by having these smarter mobs or more interesting mobs. So yeah, that's about it for this week. As always, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next devlog.